Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Think you know what way it's going to go? Make your bet at Sports Interaction. Whether it's hockey, football, or basketball, Sports Interaction has you covered. Bet pregame, live and play, or on one of our many prop bets. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all that sports betting has to offer. Want to bet? Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 plus. Please play responsibly. How's it going, everyone? Yeah, it's a pretty somber evening here in Edmonton. Sorry, I need to fix Dennis's window here. It got a little messed up in the lab. There we go. It should be better. Yeah.
Chat.
Sorry, that was a little bit of a rocky start to the show. Obviously, it's been a tough day in Edmonton. Yeah, Dennis, here, I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, it's a sad day up in Edmonton here today. It's just a brutal loss of life. Obviously, our hearts go out over here at Game Over Edmonton to the EPS, Edmonton Police Service, who lost Officer Travis Jordan and Officer Brett Ryan today. It's a rare occurrence, I think. It's something that strikes a lot deeply into the heart of Edmontonians, and we hope that the families and the community of Inglewood will be able to bounce back soon. And it's been a sad day. But let's talk some hockey, because this turned out to be a pretty good test. Dallas is first in the Central Division. Obviously, going into this, we all knew that this might be a potential playoff series in the first round or beyond. So, Zach, it was a good game by the Oilers. Overall, I think there were a couple of things that you maybe want to improve, but a clean performance by the entire team from top to bottom.
Yeah, I just agree. I want to echo your sentiments. A very sad day. I want to wish my condolences to obviously Constable Brett Ryan, Constable Travis Jordan. Yeah, really tough. But yeah, like you said, we got to make a hard right turn here because we're here to talk some hockey. And you know what? I'm very impressed with tonight's game. This is the type of game that I think the Toronto game was an outlier. Like I said last game, that the Oilers aren't bad defensively. They've just been getting bad breaks, bad goaltending, whatnot, and they think this is another example of that. I thought, for the most part, I thought pretty much through this entire game, they gave Dallas nothing, almost no chances. There was never a point where Dallas was pushing really hard, where Dallas was getting chance after chance after chance. Dallas definitely got their tips early on. Skinner made some good saves when he had to. He definitely didn't have to do anything wild, anything crazy. I think the biggest save he made, I don't know if he made the save and then Desharnais cleared the puck away to go to McDavid for the 2-0 goal, but I think that was probably the most part. I thought they played as a cohesive unit. I thought there were sticks and lanes. They defended the entries. This is just my eye, so I thought they defended the entries from Dallas phenomenally. I thought the defense stepped up when they had to. Dallas had a really tough time to me. It looked like breaking out, and I was really impressed. Every single person on the roster played well defensively, and this is the type of game that you want against a really good team in the playoffs, who you might have to face, and you ran the show. I thought the Oilers through periods were the better team. There was not one point where Dallas was the better team.
Yeah, and it's clear when you look at, Dallas is a team that typically likes to play a 3-2 games or less. They really exemplify themselves by clogging up the defensive zone, preventing chances. And Edmonton actually did that to the Stars in this game. Like, for the majority of this game, minus one change that was a little bit dirty, like not the cleanest execution of a line change, Edmonton just stuffed up the zone, stopped pucks from getting into the offensive zone for the Stars. There were tons of chances, but they were all very low danger chances. When the defenseman needed to get a stick in the lane to prevent a pass or to clear something from the blue paint, they did it pretty quickly. I really like the fight in front. Desharnais, he's kind of been on and off for the last couple of games, maybe nursing a little bit of an injury, but he played fantastic tonight. Had, like you said, that one sequence where he cleared away a puck that was just sitting right at the doorstep. I think the other chance that really was notable for Dallas was one where Skinner was screened in front, essentially just a tiny sliver of window where he could see a shot coming and he got the blocker on it. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Rupe Hintz in front of him, but it was a big guy. And Skinner was able to absolutely box out, collect where he wanted to be, cut off the angle of the puck's entry, and just cleanly blocker it away. So other than those two chances and one bad line change, Dallas had nothing really going for them offensively. The Oilers, they played a very interesting style of hockey tonight. It wasn't as run and gun as what we're maybe used to. It was a little bit more of a clean transition sort of game. There were very clearly like a lot of times when they were debating carrying it in versus shooting it in, and it was a great balance of all the different styles. Zach, like,
Yeah.
we scored 4 goals. Like, do you want to go over them?
I mean,
I feel like
yeah, it feels like you're right. You're so right. Where we did score 4 goals, and that is like above the league average in goals scored per game. Like, this was still a very offensive game, yet it didn't have that excitement, that run and gun pace that an Oilers game normally has. You know, you're always, no matter whether if the Oilers are up 7-2 or 1-0, you're worried there is that chance that the other team could get back into it. And I think lately that's been eliminated more often than not, especially tonight. Like, there was no point. The Oilers were tight. They were smothering Dallas on every opportunity. I like to Hater McDader pointed out in chat. He said, should have been a shutout, unfortunately, but the hockey gods pulled the middle finger to Stuart Skinner. And it's really unfortunate because I found myself as well when I was watching the game, checking the clock and making sure that Dallas still had no goals. I'm like, okay, 10 more minutes or 12 more minutes, 11 more minutes, and then unfortunately, Dallas got one, and I definitely felt my butt cheeks clench a little bit because that was a good goal. And I think Wyatt Johnson or Jamie Benn were probably the 2 best forwards for the Stars. I think when you pointed out Dallas's chances, this is definitely a Joe Pavelski team because, oh my God, the high slot tips from this team are insane. It seems like every shot that Dallas did get was getting tipped 5-6 feet out from in front of the net, and Skinner definitely had to be sharp. I think this is kind of an underrated game from Skinner because he's not making those lateral giant saves where he's going cross crease and robbing someone with the glove or the blocker. It's more just being positionally sound where you have to be and not getting fooled by any of these tips that Dallas is throwing at you. So despite Dallas not having a high quantity of shots, they definitely were, I think, a little tougher just because of the nature in which the shots came from. But again, like I said again, though, when you actually look at the shot totals, and I had it pulled up here for a second, and I just lost it. Oh, yeah. So the Oilers in the first 2 periods outshot the Stars. Most of the shots, the Stars' shots came like in the first 2 minutes in the first period. Then they had like 2 shots for the final 18 minutes. And yeah, the Oilers just controlled the game. Can we take a moment to, Joel in chat, can we take a moment to really appreciate that Stu out-battled the Otter? And it's true. Yeah. It's true, yeah. Like, Jake Ottinger, make no mistake, he played really good. He is one of the best goalies in the NHL, like top 5 in save percentage, obviously. He is a phenomenal goaltender, and he definitely gives the Oilers a bit of trouble. But the difference is, if you can stay defensively sound, your forward core compared to Dallas's forward core, absolutely no match, right? And if you're just going shot for shot, you're a way better finishers. You're going to score more. And if you could shut them down, it's going to be no contest no matter who is in net for Dallas, right? You limit their chances. And this is the idea. This is the recipe for success.
And you could see that the chances that the Oilers scored on, they were all ones that you don't blame on Ottinger. Like the first one where the shot pass by Bouchard right to Nuge.
Beautiful.
Nuge with the calm, just absolute God Buddha patience to hold it for a quick second and then just a cross crease pass right to Fogo for a tap in. That was not something that Ottinger could ever get. There's no chance. Put it on him.
Well, that whole play was started by a Leon Draisaitl entry, right? Like, Draisaitl, I thought tonight, this is back-to-back vintage Leon Draisaitl games where he's flying, he's physical. You cannot get the puck off him. He's like Jaromir Jagr in the corner where he just fends off everyone. His big ass, no defender can get to the puck.
Back checking as well.
Yeah.
Like, he's hustling.
He's ramping it up.
Draisaitl is skating like all the times in earlier in this season that we've said, he's not getting back enough, maybe he's still injured, maybe there's something going on with his ankle. This is when he's just putting all of those rumors to bed, because he is riding that thing hard. Like his legs are pumping. And when that happens, not only does it draw penalties, it allows him to get into position, win those board battles. Like you said, take up space. You got to get in the way before you can stop and hold a guy, right?
And maybe this is a product of the line mates too, but I thought Leon Draisaitl's line was the best line on the Oilers again tonight, right? Like the McDavid line was the second line. Now again, Kane still is struggling with his passing. Yamamoto couldn't throw a beach ball into the ocean, but Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and especially Warren Foegele after these two games have been outstanding. Not only is Warren Foegele actually converting his chances offensively, but to me what stands out is his neutral zone defense. Numerous times in the first, second, third, critical points in the game, there's a breakout pass coming from a Dallas Stars defenseman, and it ends up somehow right on the tape of Warren Foegele going the other way. His stick is always in the lane, and he excels at that. I'm frankly shocked. It's not something that we expected or we've seen from Warren Foegele prior. We've seen that he has those tools, but they were never utilized. It was always it all together, right? It was always one thing good here, one thing good here. He'd skate, he'd fall down, he'd have a good shot, this, that, but it was never all collectively utilized. And the last two games especially, but I think far before these 2 game stretch, he was starting to show all of those tools coming together on the third and fourth line, and now it's just exploded.
Well, and Foegele has been skating really hard. Like you said, he's always had that in his tool set. Maybe he doesn't have the hands of Connor McDavid, but when you just see the 7 and he's speeding down the ice, it does look McDavid-esque in terms of his speed.
Totally.
But not only that, is he's very physical. He's able to win those board battles. When he was in front of the crease tonight, kind of in that Hyman zone, it looked like Zach Hyman was still out on the ice. He was able to get into the blue paint. When shots went wide, he was smart enough to immediately go for them, to make good cycle passes. Yeah, there's a solid like sine wave where if you mapped out Warren Foegele's like progress, he always has these parts when it looks like he is a second line winger. Stick him take Yamamoto out and put him down further in the lineup, put Warren Foegele in there every game, and then he tends to fall back down a little bit, maybe doesn't have the best string games after that. So it's interesting to see if he can carry on this level of production into the playoffs. If he does, and Hyman comes back and is healthy, Yamamoto, if he regains that dog in him, that's going to be scary.
Well, when the Oilers were when Warren Foegele was on the ice tonight for the Edmonton Oilers, they had 12 shots for, and Dallas only had 3 shots. And I just want to see this is 5-on-5, all strengths, and he played 15 minutes. So 15 minutes out of the game, the puck was pretty much not in your zone. That Warren Foegele, Leon Draisaitl, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins line deserves to stay together now when Zach Hyman comes back, right? I think the odd man out in the top 6 is Kyler Yamamoto, right? There's just something to his game right now where he just does not have it, man. He does not have it. I think it's more than that. I think this was a problem with Yamamoto before, but one thing that I'm starting to see a lot of again, it's okay, he's getting the puck with speed coming down the wing, enters the zone, and he can shoot it on net, get a rebound, he could drive the net, but I don't know if it's because he's just so much smaller than the defenseman he's facing, but it's almost like clockwork. You can time it. He does that stop up, cut back, and look for the defenseman, right? He almost never drives the net with the puck. He never gets the puck on net. He's always looking for another play, and it seems like he's a lot of the time on the perimeter right now. The only chance that he did have in front of the net came off a McDavid pass where he was, super, super sneaky, got it there, and he was so close to Ottinger, he didn't have enough time to raise the puck over Ottinger's pad, and it was just a moot point. But yeah, Kyler Yamamoto to me is really struggling, and I think Warren Foegele's play, he's just been outplayed by Warren Foegele. So when Hyman comes back, I think Yamamoto's the odd man out, and does Yamamoto even work in a bottom 6 role?
It's tough because if you look at it, and I want to highlight Riley in chat. How's it going, man? Little did we know that Foegele was going to be Holland's top 6 acquisition this trade deadline. It's looking.
We got Kane, right? We got Foegele. Oh my god, Holland with the fleece.
We're gonna have Hyman soon.
Yeah, Holland acquired $30 million in players.
Um,
He acquired an
also,
unhurt Leon Draisaitl. Yeah, healthy. Yeah.
A motivated Leon Draisaitl.
Exactly, the better word.
Going for Yamamoto's game as well in terms of his size, like he has shown in the past that it hasn't been a detriment, but if you look at how he's being put out right now, he's being put out mostly on the offensive zone, because when you have someone at his stature, it is just difficult to go up against, someone on the Stars blue line who's like a Heiskanen or a Lindell, like guys that will absolutely crush Yamo. It's hard for him in the defensive zone to get into that high area and take pucks away. So in these instances, it's really hard to put him on any line. If you put him in the third, fourth line, you clearly expect those guys to maybe have a balance, if not more defensive zone starts. Just try not to get absolutely caged in and that sort of thing. It all depends on Yamamoto and his current condition. We've seen in the past, if he's healthy, if he's confident, Yamamoto has the hands to finish. He's able to get into those dirty areas. It doesn't matter if he ends up on his backside, he'll still try and get the puck to someone. It's tough. Like, we've seen what this player can do. It's just that right now he's not doing it, and he's $3 million.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we continue on, everyone say there's 51 people watching right now. We only got 13 likes, so we're gonna make our like goal 41 today. So there's 141, easy enough. So you guys want to go ahead, hit that like button, and yeah, subscribe to SDPN. Keep coming back. We have a blast doing these breakdowns, especially on nights where the Oilers absolutely slam a playoff team. But yeah, another thing that I wanted to talk about, kind of right at the end of the second period, the first two calls that Edmonton got, I thought were really strange. At least the two penalties. The first one, the interference on Yamamoto, I'm like, okay, those penalties drive me nuts more than any other penalty in the game, because we see that play happen to Connor McDavid 25 times. Every single time McDavid is on the ice, you can bet that there will be that amount of interference with him. So if you're going to call that, the Oilers better spend 30 minutes out of the 60-minute game on the power play. Like, that is absolutely atrocious. Then the Brett Kulak one in the corner too. I don't even know if that was holding. Like, I don't know what it was. It
was a hooking call, but it was him just kind of moving his
stick
around to the other side.
It was so weak. The Oilers were up 2-0, and you could feel it. The first one, the Yamamoto one, I'm like, I was like, game management, it's coming. And then they were looking for it. They were looking to call that penalty, and they called it, right? As soon as Dallas scored later in the game, the Oilers, Kane draws a penalty right after, right? Like, this was a bad case of game management for me. And there's a play that I want to get into, but I'll let you say something first.
I mean, first, before we get into the third period's penalties, the second period, remember, there was a hooking call against on Derek Ryan, right? Mm-hmm. Derek Ryan was going into the offensive zone, and he was just held up at the line. That one's pretty clear, because it's clear that his speed is impeded as he's going into the zone. But right after that was the Brett Kulak penalty, and it's also a hooking call. But it was literally just him moving his arm to the other side of Faksa's body, and that ended up being a call. So it's really weak. I think both those two calls in the second period were really weak. And then you have calls the other way, like Robertson's knee on McDavid. That's got to get called. I'm surprised that no one went after him. Maybe because of Jason Robertson.
That's what I want to get into. That was greasy as shit. Oh my god! No NHL player gets hit knee on knee more than Connor McDavid, because he's so fast, right? Everyone's like, "Oh shit, I'm losing him," and it's just this last ditch attempt to block him with whatever part of your body you can. Obviously, the most length you have when you're in that position is your knee when you stick it out, and that's where because where your center of gravity is, you have a lot of force pushing down. He hits it. He goes flying, and he is furious. Ever since he got that injury, I can't remember, a number of years ago now, in the knee on knee, Giordano injury, exactly. I remember him getting hit knee on knee before, but now, and it happens a lot. I'd say probably 5 or 6 times a year, Connor McDavid gets hit knee on knee. Not all as bad as that one, but he gets furious after. Like, that was so greasy. I don't care if it was an accident. I don't care if that's an instinct. ruin someone's career doing that. That was atrocious. And I saw Dallas Stars fans freaking out. Oh, what a kind of penalty is that? They ran into each other. I'm like, okay, you are taking stupid pills. Stop watching Dallas Stars games and huffing glue. It's not safe. Stop.
You can see Robertson extend the leg, right? If it's an incidental, if they're not looking at each other, then fine. Maybe I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. If they're both puck watching and they happen to run into each other knee on knee, that's a different scenario. But this one was clear. You're right. Robertson got caught. McDavid, he's gonna go for a break if you can't stop him here.
Angles his knee and sticks it out.
You stick your leg out, and it's clear on the slow-mo. It's clear from the referee's point of view. And you're right, McDavid goes flying, right? It's not a situation where it was an incidental penalty. This was one where it was very clear the intent. You're right. Later on in the third period, there was intent on the penalty on Kane. There was intent on the one where Devon Shore went down. This was it's weird because this was a very physical game. There was a lot of hits. There was a lot of sort of gritty play, but it didn't feel like it was a chippy game. It didn't feel like anyone was going to start going at it.
Well,
but if this boils into a playoff series,
well, you did
that's
see
a different story.
Oh man, I can't even imagine because like someone who would piss me off in the playoffs is Jamie Benn because he also greasy as shit, and I'm not looking forward. But like again, it's you're playing the greasy Jamie Benns or you're playing Mikey Anderson who will suplex Draisaitl and break his leg, right? Like
he's like a Corey Perry guy.
There's just
right?
There's greasy guys all over the West, right? So and the Oilers have some greasy guys of their own. Like I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that the Oilers don't have guys who are gonna go out and try and irritate and get under the other team's skin because that's obviously not the case. But I do not want to play Dallas in a playoff series. Dallas obviously lost again tonight. We'll see what happens with Vegas. But as of right now, I think the top wild card in the West would be playing Vegas now because Vegas is second.
It looks like Calgary is up on Vegas right now, 3-2. It's a close one. We probably won't have the results of that until after the show. But another thing that it's important to note is Seattle's playing tonight against San Jose. Obviously, San Jose's not a good team, but they are tied 0-0.
Yeah.
And we have a lead on Seattle. The next game we play is against Seattle.
That's a huge game.
It'll be a huge game, not only in terms of the points, but the standings right now. There are 3 points, potentially 1 point difference if Seattle wins tonight. So whoever wins that game on Saturday
it's huge.
Is probably going to be in
at least third or second, depending on what happens. Because the Oilers still have 2 head-to-head games with the Kings. Like, it's a lot of Pacific. The standings are... There is still a chance, especially if Vegas loses. And the Oilers have 2 head-to-head games against Vegas. One thing Mickinator brings up in chat, he says the league needs to protect their star players, and that reminded me I believe it was right off the drop of the puck. There is a play where Max Domi is just going at Connor McDavid, slashing him, crossing him, and there's nothing, right? So to see
another guy who's
so
tricky.
frustrating.
He wants to get under your skin.
You see McDavid not being able to draw anything, and then you just see phantom calls on Yamamoto, phantom calls on Kulak, right? Like Draisaitl punches through the 2 defenders on Dallas, almost creates an odd-man break, and he's getting held. He was getting held so much that Draisaitl showed the ref exactly how hard he was getting held.
He slides into the board, and you could just see, because of the stoppage, he's smiling at a ref going like, you kidding me? Come on. He was grabbing my jersey. Like, your star players are telling you, cut this game management shit out. Right? Just call the rule book. That's all they want.
Bane of my existence. It's against Dallas, and it's going to change on Saturday. The Oilers, you're not going to know what the refs are going to call until they set the standard and whatever. We have tons of time to bitch about the refs when we get into playoffs because I'm sure it is going to be very relevant. Always, because of the Oilers and because they're such a strong power play team. Like the refs, they're going to sit there and say, "Oh wow, the Oilers are up 4-3. They're getting hooked like crazy. We don't want to call up another power play because we don't want to be responsible for the Oilers scoring a power play goal and the game getting out of hand, even though the team's clearly cheating." So then they're allowed to just commit infractions against the Oilers, and it ends up hurting the Oilers in the long run. So they need to be deadly on the power play, and they're deadly 5-on-5 like we saw today. I thought they were really good. Another guy on the Oilers who I thought was flying, I know we talked about his 2 line mates, but we can't forget about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, right? Like Nugent-Hopkins, just another game excellent. 4 chances. I think he had a crossbar at one point. tonight. He's always around it. Got such an underrated release. This is the best year of his career. I thought he was flying tonight. He's solid defensively, and yeah, no, I thought Ryan Nugent-Hopkins played fantastic. Is there any? Let's you know what? Who did you think had a really good game tonight?
Well, it's a little bit of an understatement, but man, Ekholm is just so good. Like it's been a while since we've gone 11-7, but
Mm-hmm.
Ekholm not just from a defensively minded position, but the fact that he is being paired with Bouchard, he's being paired with Broberg, and you can see like in tonight's game, Bouchard wasn't perfect. He's a relatively like high event hockey sort of guy, right? He'll make a lot of passes that are tight. He'll make a lot of passes that just are absolutely beautiful in deep into the forward zone. But he also has a couple where he might flub it, have pucks that are picked off, and having Ekholm there just with the state of mind to say, okay, if this happens, if that player picks off the puck, I can immediately approach here, cut him off, get my stick in the lane so he can't get a shot off right away. Like all of these things allow a player like Bouchard or a player like Broberg, who, let's face it, hasn't played in a long time, so maybe has a little bit of rust.
Well, yeah, and he only played 9 minutes today. That was another thing. I saw it. I thought the usage of Philip Broberg was really strange.
Weird.
Yeah.
He didn't get a lot of ice time, but when he was out there, he was mostly paired with Ekholm. It seems like there was a lot of times when you could see that instead of sneaking into a different area, maybe across an east-west situation so that he can give Broberg an option, Ekholm stayed a little bit closer so that if a mistake was made, he could get in there and prevent a scoring chance. So it's fantastic. Like the small subtle things that don't appear on the box score is just something that's amazing in Ekholm. And
Yeah.
I'm so happy that this is who we picked up at the trade deadline.
He has been fantastic. I think he had like one shaky-ish play in the first period, and I was like, oh, that's the first time you've ever seen Matthias Ekholm bobble the puck as an Oiler. Like, he has been so impressive. I thought even tonight, just an absolute stalwart. You want him out there in every situation where Dallas might put on the pressure. He's an expert at getting the puck out. He skates better than we thought. He's way better offensive than we thought. Like, he has a chance at creating stuff at the blue line. He's a lot better than I thought, and I was pretty high on Matthias Ekholm coming in. I want to say Mikinator in chat says Bouchard needs to work on his hockey IQ. Vehemently disagree. I thought Bouchard was fantastic. I thought the reads and the skating and the poise that Bouchard's shown with the puck has been phenomenal this year. Like, I think, and it's been highlighted since Barry's been gone just because he's had that elevation in ice time. I think every time you think that Bouchard's under pressure or someone's going to clamp down on him, he just evades them with his skating. He just holds onto the puck for an extra second when you're like, what are you doing? Make the pass. And all of a sudden, the pressure just completely clears up and the seas part, and he just has a clear lane to make an even better breakout pass. I think the way he skates with the puck is fantastic. The chances he can create with a shot in the offensive zone, the way he holds the puck in on the power play, he's an expert. He's way better than Tyson Barrie ever was at keeping the play alive on the blue line on the power play.
And I think one of the things that some people have put as a knock against Bouchard is that calm factor to him, right? He isn't a guy that's going to get flustered, make mistakes. He's a guy that knows what he has to do and he's willing to take a risk. Sometimes he isn't able to make the play perfectly and that results in a puck getting picked off or turned over, but he knows that that's a possibility. So even when he has that happen to him, if someone picks a puck off of him, he is in position to immediately go back into defending. So I disagree as well. I think his hockey IQ is fine.
I think it's great.
Just, yeah, it's a part of having an extra layer of support behind him.
Which is Ekholm. That's the safety net.
Yeah, Ekholm is great this year. Last year, I mean, Duncan Keith did a good enough job of that. It's clear that when you have a young player like Bouchard, he's going to take steps, but you don't want that pressure mounting on top of him to make the perfect play every time.
Well,
you want that freedom for him to go, hey, even if I mess this up, we're still fine. We're not going to immediately have a goal against.
Yeah, well, I think that poise that he does show with the puck in his own defensive zone, 97% of the time gets him out of trouble, and 99% of the time he makes the right play. You are, no matter who you are, you could be, who's going to win the Norris this year? Erik Karlsson?
Probably.
Even Erik Karlsson makes bad passes sometimes that end up in giveaways, like Bouchard had against Toronto, which I know is the one that everyone is going to go and point to. Like, it's going to happen when you have the puck that much too. McDavid and Draisaitl are both like top 10 in the NHL in giveaways, right? Because they have the puck so much. It's always on their stick that they're bound to give up possession at some point. Like the same with Evan Bouchard. Yeah, 99% of the time he's going to make the right play, but because he has the puck so much, stuff happens. Hockey's a fast game. He'll make one mistake, but I would take that one mistake if it means 20 more times he's going to get the puck out flawlessly.
Exactly. It's that human mentality where, you look at it and you say, oh, it sticks in the mind that one mistake that they made. But the 13, 14 great passes, great zone exits, you tend to lump those together as one entity, right? I completely agree. Like offensively, Bouchard is the best on this team at making that breakout pass.
Oh, yeah.
When he's on power play one, amazing job. Like he held the zone a couple of times during today's power plays. He's also getting familiar with his shot again, that sort of seeing eye shot where it's able to get past guys, at least past the first guy, and create a rebound chance or something like that. I'd love if he could get his confidence up and score a couple, especially going into the playoffs. But he's been doing great after the addition of Ekholm. I'm happy that Broberg got in at all tonight. My concern now going forward is if Hyman's coming back, are they going to go back to 12-6?
It's very interesting. Not only do they have Hyman coming back, so they're 11-7 right now. They have 3 forwards who were on this team at the start of the year that will have to come back. I think are on this team's lineup in game 1 of the playoffs. It's Zach Hyman, it's Ryan McLeod, and it's Dylan Holloway, who we've kind of all forgotten about, but he was coming on right at the time he got sent down. And like, let's not forget, that was solely because of the cap, right? Like he wasn't set down for any other reason. So we're getting to the point where, okay, so you can take out Philip Broberg just because he's the odd man out just in terms of handedness if you want to go 3 lefties, 3 righties, and let's just for argument's sake take Philip Broberg out. You can put in Zach Hyman. But then you have the issue of, okay, well, who are you taking out for Ryan McLeod and who are you taking out for Dylan Holloway? I feel like Devin Shore, even though he's been putting up the points, is the odd man out when it comes to bringing back in Ryan McLeod. And then it gets a little tougher. Are you bringing out Clem Cawson? It depends who you're playing, what kind of matchup you want, what kind of thing you're going for. I think no matter what, there is going to be a good player sitting out for the Oilers, but I think Hyman, McLeod, and Holloway are all 3 players that need to be in the lineup game 1. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think it all depends on Holloway's condition. We haven't had any updates. As Mickinator said, he's not quite ready to come back. It looks like he was supposed to be out for a month. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of rehab on top of that. I hope it's nothing major, a little bit of strength training, and then he's back on it. The other thing you have to think about is the number of recalls that the Oilers have remaining, right?
I don't think they can call up anyone. I don't think they have the cap space for it.
Well, even when we get to that stage, if you could maneuver the cap, send someone down
in the playoffs. So the way
in the playoffs, it's fine,
no
but
cap.
Like if you're trying to warm, no cap. It's when you're trying to warm up a guy. I think Holloway's going to get a couple of games in the A first. So back up to speed. Maybe you wait until the playoffs to bring him back up.
I think so.
There's a chance where if you're down to the final 2 games of the season, then maybe you want to get him up here so he has a couple of games with an established line. Right now, it is tough. Like Yamamoto, maybe you want to have him go down a little bit or sit out a little bit.
Oh, that'd be tough.
It'd be tough on his confidence for sure, but if you're making a playoff push, you gotta play your
I get it, and I'm in favor of it, but I do think that that's a tough thing to make at this point in the season with the injuries that he's had. Like, I think, like it or not with Kyler Yamamoto, I think And I agree. He's struggled mightily. I do not think he's played well in any sense. But I don't know if you can healthy scratch him at this point in the season. I think you healthy scratch Klim Kostin or Devin Shore. You don't. I think you healthy scratch him. Like, we don't know what Yamamoto is like, mentally. Like, it could shatter him even worse than he is. He might be the type of person that, no, it's a challenge and I'm going to come back. But is it worth the risk for Jay Woodcroft to play these type of games when realistically, and I see why, as Kyle says, pull out Janmark. Janmark had 2 goals today.
Yeah, Janmark is an enigma, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has teams where he will absolutely light the lamp. He has chances where he will bury it. And then there's also a ton of times when he doesn't look like he's doing a whole lot. He's out on the ice. He's just kind of circling around, not really into a board battle. I don't know. Janmark is probably in the lineup just for penalty kill reasons. So it's tough to take him out. But either way, someone's got to go. Hyman's got to come in for sure. And Holloway, I think Holloway, you'll want him to get some experience as well.
I think Holloway, at this point in time, even injured, like Holloway, what he showed before he got injured was better than what Kyler Yamamoto is giving you right now. And I know they play opposite wings, but in the playoffs, it's just who's going to give me the best chance to win. I don't care about anything else. And I know I kind of gave the argument to keep him in the lineup, but Shaden in the chat says, I'd press box Yamamoto next game. I truly think he's our 11th or 12th best forward. Yeah, I agree. Like, I can see that. And Mickinator says, so how long do we give Kane to get back to normal? Am I concerned that we may not have last year's playoff Kane playing the same way in last year's playoffs? I'm not sure we said this on the last show, or we said this after, because I believe we had this conversation. But last year in the playoffs, you got exceptional play from Draisaitl and McDavid, right? But you also had almost a goal per game from Zach Hyman and Evander Kane, right? Now, Hyman's definitely slowed down. We talked about that last show in this production, but he's sitting out, and we'll see what happens when he comes back. And Kane has had his wrist injured, and he's had broken ribs, and he's working himself back. Guy can't make a pass right now. I know he's the type of guy that needs to get on a shooting percentage bender, essentially. Right. Like, that's what we're waiting for. We just need Evander Kane to start getting lucky. Because he definitely is struggling. I think because of McDavid playing with a struggling Kane and a Yamamoto, that's bringing down McDavid a little bit, and that's where the Draisaitl line is kind of elevated above that.
And McDavid is also getting, like, he's getting targeted a lot more, right? You notice in these games when it starts to get down to it, Ottawa played McDavid hard. The Stars tonight played McDavid really, really hard. They're basically climbing on top of him. So it's tough when you have all that pressure on you, and like you said, your line mates aren't producing as much, but that's the hidden blessing in disguise, right? We've been talking for the last 10 minutes about who would we healthy scratch, who's coming up. The Oilers fans, we haven't had this problem for such a long time. We have so much depth on this team. We don't know who is definitively our best forwards. So part of it is of course it's entertainment, it's part of the show, but this is actually a fantastic situation for Woodcroft to be in. You hope he makes the right pick at the right time. If it's going to be a physical series, Costin's a lock. He lives for these type of games. Like tonight, a very physical game. Costin
he dropped his gloves really well right at the end. It was still a little confusing what happened. Devin Shore kind of got picked. We'll continue on for like 5 more minutes, but I just want to say they got 61 people watching now, 25 likes. Our like goal tonight's 41. So if you guys want to pump that up, try and get, I think, what is it, 16? No, 20. No. Yeah, like 16 more likes, something like that. Bad at math. I'm exhausted. Late game. I got work tomorrow, but no, it's fun to be here.
It has been a very tiring day in oil country today.
Let's
start wrapping up.
Let's do this. Let's let everyone hit that like button. To wrap it up, our last thing we got to talk about, I know we did it last show, but I want to do it every show before we go. Connor McDavid now has 57 goals and 131 points in 69 games. Very nice. Oh man, when he got that McGoal, I was so hyped. I jumped off my couch. I thought he got the assist right before on that Evander Kane play, but Kane hit the post, right? Got to get on that bender. We need that luck a little bit more. But
just if it goes posting in versus posting out.
Yeah, exactly. McDavid gets the goal, and it's such a timely goal, such an important goal. You shut down Dallas's hopes of coming back in that game. You could see McDavid was gassed up from that celebration. the best offensive player I've ever watched in my life. I'm gonna keep saying that every show. What else is there to say? 131 points in 69 games. I remember watching the Oilers, and I believe it was 2013. I want to say 20. It was 2013-14, I believe. Yeah, 2013-14 when Taylor Hall was in that scoring title race, and I want to say he finished like 10th or something, and I'm like, oh man, how crazy would it be if Taylor Hall could be a point per game player? And I was literally checking the TSN stats after every game, and Taylor, I believe he had like 80 points or something in 82 games
close.
or 70. Yeah, I thought that was like peak offensive player. Like I was like, oh my god, I can't imagine any team without Taylor Hall. It's so crazy. What a great player. And then to go from, Hall and whatever that was to this.
Who knows? Like Connor McDavid is on an absolute world-beating run right now. And it's scary to think in 2 or 3 years there might be another world beater Connor in the NHL, right?
No.
Well,
No.
let's see, because this is, in the end, we're all Oilers fans here, but hockey is about entertainment. So
I'm an Oilers fan first, second, third.
Giants.
I'm an Oilers fan first, second, third. I believe, okay, look at this. Let's talk about this quickly before we go. But the expectations Connor McDavid had coming in from junior, he was compared to players like Sidney Crosby, obviously, and people were very high on Connor McDavid. He was a generational talent. Once in every 10 years, people said at the time. Connor McDavid has so greatly blown, both Draisaitl and McDavid have, but McDavid, well, both of them have particularly, and I can talk about Draisaitl after, but McDavid has blown his draft expectations out of the water. No one in their right minds saw this coming. It's a fun exercise. Go back and look at people's draft predictions of Connor McDavid. They were worried. There were some people generally worried. Would his offense transition from junior to the NHL? Would he be able to play this speed game in the NHL? Would he have that same time and space? Would he be able to create it? Go and read scouting reports. It's really interesting. Not everyone was that high on McDavid, and no one saw these 100 back-to-back 100-point seasons, this 130-point season. No one saw this.
Think about it. This is something where no one has ever thought, even in McDavid's first year, second year, third year, no one thought Connor McDavid would be on the levels of 66 and 99.
Yeah,
right?
and that's it. He is. And there's definitely an argument to be made that he is better than 66 and 99.
Yeah, because he's doing it in a totally different era. So there's a lot of discussion going on, and this is part of the fun of being a hockey fan,
Yes.
right? This is why we watch the drafts. This is why we watch CHL games, because man, sometimes they are a little bit more fun than NHL games when you have some young guys who don't really know how to play defense well.
And Bedard could come in and be that generational player, but I think it is almost unfair to Connor Bedard to come in and put the expectations that he is going to be a 130-point guy. Like,
yeah,
that's just unfair to the kid. Like, let him come in the NHL and let's see what he is. If he's an Austin Matthews level player in that range, and Nathan McKinnon came on a little bit later than Austin Matthews, but at 18 years old, if Connor Bedard's a point per game, that's fantastic. But that's
amazing player.
Still, exactly. Like, we won't know until 4 or 5 years from now, and we'll see. There's, like, again, McDavid is, like, the history of the millions of people to have ever put on skates. There is a legitimate argument that only two individuals in this entire universe are better than Connor McDavid. Only two. And it's not even a 100% confirmed, guaranteed argument. You could say he is the best. So to sit here every 3-4 years and say, Bedard's going to be this, Bedard's going to be that, just let him be Bedard and we'll see where it goes. But you can't say he's going to be better than McDavid until it actually happens.
Don't put too much pressure on the kid. We know where that leads, but yeah, it's fun. This is why hockey is a fun sport. It's the fastest sport around. If Connor Bedard ends up actually making a run and try and challenges Connor, that's amazing. If he turns out to be a star like a McKinnon, like a Crosby, like an Ovechkin, that's fine as well. If he turns out to be a guy who just turns into like a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, a very responsible two-way player, like hey.
I can sit here and confidently say he's gonna be better than Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, even though as much as that pains me. But
Year of news.
One thing I will say, and I know we've gone over this, Connor Bedard doesn't have the same game as Connor McDavid whatsoever.
Yeah.
No one has that same game as Connor McDavid. He's a unicorn, an absolute unicorn. No one does it with the speed and the pace and the finesse of McDavid. Bedard is way more like a Crosby and a Matthews with his puck possession and the way he protects and shoots. And he's fast. He's an elite. He's an explosive skater. But his top end, it's not that rush, that off the rush speed and scoring that you get from McDavid. They're very different players. He's way more Crosby to me than he is McDavid.
You know what? Time will tell.
That's
the fun part. That's why we love hockey. Hey, Zach, do you mind if I do 2 quick stick taps before we go?
Sure.
First one is I wanted to shout out to the University of Alberta NBA alumni event. I was at there earlier in this afternoon. Thank you so much for having us, and it was a fun time. And the second one, Slater Cuckoo yesterday came out with some of the battles that he's been facing with anxiety, weight loss, being unable to eat. That takes a lot of courage. And I wanted to give him a stick tap to say, hey, you know what? Hearts out to you. It's not an easy decision, quitting hockey for the sake of your own physical health. That's a tough decision to make, and just all the love to you. Hopefully you're feeling better. Hopefully you're able to work on that mental side, and you're an Oiler for life. Once an Oiler, always an Oiler.
Well said, Dennis. Well said, Dennis. I'm gonna give a stick tap too. I'm gonna give a quick stick tap to the people that sent me this shirt because it's freaking sick, and I love this shirt. And I'm gonna start repping the other stuff harder because playoffs are coming along, and I know a lot of people are hockey fans, and I'm a hockey fan, but before I'm a hockey fan, I'm an Oilers fan. That's the thing. That's how I roll. You'll never catch me on the couch watching a Columbus Florida game. I genuinely could not care less. But
being in Calgary, that might be the only playoff action you guys get down there.
Hell, if I care, honestly, it's better. I'm such a negative Nancy when it comes to playoffs in Calgary. Oh man, I'd rock a car flag here. I got an Oilers license plate. Let's go. But yeah, that'll be all from us tonight. The Oilers beat the Stars by a score of 4-1. You guys want to go ahead, hit that like button one more time. I hope when I check back tomorrow, we hit that like goal of 41. It'll be Saturday. I believe the game it's at 2:00. It's an afternoon game. So if you're joining us here, it'll be Avery hosting. So come say hi, chop it up with him. He's going to have a fantastic show. And it's a super important divisional game. But until then, and I see MGD says I'm working to rep more SDPN merch. Appreciate it. Go to sdpn.com/shop, I believe is a link.
sdpnshop.ca.
Yeah, sdpnshop.ca. Don't plug merch like me. That is not SDPN. But anyways, until
tattoo it on your forearm, Zach.
I will. I will, exactly. Until then, that's all from us. It's all from me. Dennis, where can they find you?
On Twitter, Dennis Lee YEG. And Zach, where can they find you?
You can find me at ZWheel97 on Twitter. Take care for now, and let's play La Bamba, baby.
La Bamba, baby. Good night.